Well, hello everyone. I'd like to entitle this video, FBI Drug Dealers Assault Canadian and U.S. Customs. Right now I'm in Coaticook, Quebec, and I've been here for about 3 weeks. And I just want to talk about my observations as I went through U.S. Customs and Canadian Customs. See, I've gone back over the border a couple of times since I've been here. So first let me talk about my experiences last fall. Last fall I was at Deer Mountain Campground, and that's in the far tip, the northern tip of New Hampshire, and a beautiful campground. I've enjoyed my stay there a number of times. When I was there last fall, and I was there 2 different times, once I believe in September and once in October, both times I thought when I was going to Deer Mountain Campground that, you know what I'll do, I'll try going over the border. I had my passport and all. I thought I'll go over the border and see if my stalkers follow me. But the whole time that I was there, I didn't. Every time I thought about it, for some reason it just didn't seem right. And I know that, you know, those type of things can be done to me. I've experienced them many times. Something that my stalkers don't want me to do. Every time I think about it, I'll feel negative. I'll feel depression. And then they can add subliminals. And for those who haven't experienced subliminals, or maybe didn't know they experienced them, a subliminal suggestion, when it comes in, you don't hear it. In fact, it seems like a thought that your own brain produced. You would never know different. You would never know differently because, well, it just feels that way. It feels like a thought that you have. And those things are very dangerous. And especially, they're very dangerous to people who don't know that they're being assaulted. You see, when a person of my age, I'm in my upper 50s, you come to believe in or trust your own mind. You trust your own mind to make day-by-day decisions at work or whatever you're doing. And so when your mind produces a decision, you act on it because you know you don't have to contemplate it, especially some of the simple things. So what can happen is when a subliminal suggestion comes through to people that don't know to question their own mind, they'll end up acting on it. And they can embarrass themselves, get themselves in trouble. And it's awful hard to prove that it's not your fault. And I've seen a lot of this happen. It's very, very dangerous. And that's the reason, one of the reasons I'm making this video. I want to call attention to it, maybe in Canada as well as in the United States. Just a very, very dangerous technology. Let me talk about being at Deer Mountain Campground last fall. I was followed there, and again, I bring my handy-talkie, and their equipment puts out a packet radio signal on 157.740 and sometimes 152.6 and sometimes both. And they were right in the area. So I heard them talking about how they approached customs, and that would be on Route 3 in northern New Hampshire. They approached them. They asked them could they get somehow pre-approved, seeing as they had their FBI badge. Could they somehow get pre-approved so when I went across, they could just shoot right through without delay. They didn't want to be delayed, but more than that, they didn't want to be stopped with the electronics in their car. I heard that they were told, no, you can't do that, not even FBI. The real deal is, we stop you, we ask you questions, we look for specific answers. We may look through your things, and if we're comfortable that you should enter Canada, then we will allow you to. But you're not going to fly right through. No one can. And I loved hearing that. So on this trip, here I came here in January, on January 12th. I got to Canadian Customs. The lady asked me a number of questions, and then, they want to know, do you have tobacco, alcohol? When they got to cannabis products, even though I said no, I saw her write down on paper, cannabis. And she said, okay, go over and park your vehicle and go inside. So I did. And, I don't remember what they asked me there. They may have asked me about cannabis again. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm just looking back at the whole thing, trying to understand. I think they may have asked me again. Maybe they went back and talked to the agent who questioned me, and clearly there was no cannabis. I said no. There was no sign of it, because there wasn't any. And they let me go. So I went in, and I wondered how the people following me, I thought they wouldn't come in. They wouldn't want to be seen with that electronics, and they can't fly right through. They don't have authority to do that. Yet they were right behind me. In no time, I mean, they stayed on me. They stay back a distance, so I can't see them, but they were right behind me. So apparently they got right through. I'm believing that they manipulated customs to have them question me, just to give me a hard time, and have it be cannabis. And just to give me a hard time. And then they just fly right through. So, after being, a few days here, I decided, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through. And I went into Newport in northern Vermont, just for a little while, did a little shopping. So on the way out, back into the U.S., they told me, park your vehicle. I did, and come inside, and I did. They had me fill out a form and check all the boxes, whatever, and sign that form. I believe they took my driver's license, and then they wanted the keys to my vehicle. And they went and searched my vehicle without me. Came back, and the man said, you had cigars in your glove compartment. And I said, oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I don't smoke, really, but they're in there, and once in a while, sitting by a campfire, I kind of like having a cigar, just once in a rare occasion. So they were there, and he said that they could be confiscated, I could get to cause suspicion of myself, I should have told them. It seemed like a bit of a deal. So anyway, they let me go, and I went back into the U.S. So I did a little shopping, I came back, and now I'm at Canadian Customs again to come back in. They asked me a few questions. I told them I had already been in Canada. I'm just going back. Told them where I was staying. And they seemed satisfied. And then they asked me, have you ever been arrested? And before waiting for a response, have you ever been in handcuffs? I said no. And everything was fine. They let me go. I drove right in. As I'm driving in, out of customs and heading further into Canada, the people stalking me said, Jeff, you lied. You lied. They asked you if you were ever arrested. They asked you if you were ever in handcuffs. The truth is you were. And I said, no, I didn't lie. My case was dismissed February of 2018. When I went to court for that, the chief public defender asked me, do you have a lawyer? And I said, no. He says, well, Jeff, I'll get you through today, and we'll get it taken care of. He says, now here's the deal. The charges are being dropped, your record's being cleared. He said, if someone ever asks you if you've been arrested, the answer is no. He said, it goes away, and it's as if it never happened. Okay? That was Sean Kelly, Chief Public Defender in the London Superior Court. So that's the way I answered, the way I was told to. And I am believing that my stalkers pointed their equipment at the customs agent and had them ask me these things. I mean, people don't usually want to know if you've ever been arrested. If people can get arrested, it doesn't mean you committed a crime. The question is, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Or have you ever been in handcuffs? People can end up in handcuffs, but it doesn't mean they did anything wrong. It meant that the police felt it was necessary for their safety for some reason. You were a suspect, but the real question is, have you ever been convicted of a crime? If they want to know. After coming back into Canada, my stalker said to me, Jeff, next time you go out, it's going to be easy. They just, now that they know you're not a problem, you know, they won't have suspicion of you, and it'll be easy. I said, oh, really? How would they remember me? And they get a lot of people coming through. So yesterday, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go over the border again. And those following me don't really care for that, because they know they're breaking the law. They're here illegally. So I went through U.S. Customs. They just asked me a number of questions. Nothing about arrests or convictions or any of that. I gave them my passport. They asked me a number of questions. When they were satisfied, they said, do you have anything to declare? I said, I have cigars in my glove compartment. You didn't want to see them? You're fine. Go ahead. So they weren't any big deal. And this was U.S. Customs a second time. Coming back into Canada about an hour and a half later, again, they asked me more questions. Do you have anything you want to declare? I said, I have cigars in my glove compartment. They didn't want to see them. They didn't care. Didn't ask me about arrests or convictions or handcuffs or any of those things. Nothing. Nothing. Where are you from? Where do you live? What's your license plate number in the vehicle you're driving? And some simple questions. What are you doing in Canada? What will you be doing? So what I saw in all of it, the people that are following me are manipulating customs. And when I went through first time, before I called them on it, they were happy to manipulate customs and make them hard on me. Both ways. Just to give me a bad time. But they fly right through. They make that happen. And to someone who hasn't experienced this technology being used on them, you wouldn't believe how powerful it is. And I could just imagine the person asking the questions. They just let them go right through very quickly. My understanding is they have FBI credentials, but they're not FBI. You see, within the FBI, there's a lot of impersonation, and they use that. They use it for various things that they're involved in, from extortion to narcotics trafficking and such illegal operations. They use impersonation staff, and so they will have a badge, but it won't have a real name on it. They give them a false identity. These people following me in, I don't even know if they had a badge with a picture on it. I heard that it was an FBI identification, but not an actual badge. And it was the assault with the subliminals and mood control and all those things that got them in. And it's gotten them out and back in. And I believe strongly that's what's happening. I've kind of developed a little bit of expertise in looking for this type of thing in the people that I do business with, or that I'm interacting with, because it's happened so many times that those that stalk me affect those people. And sometimes they'll tell me about it ahead of time. You know, I remember bringing something back at Walmart, and they told me, this guy's going to give you a bad time over bringing that back. And it was simple. I had my receipt and everything. And they brought someone else in, lots of questions, looking at me very suspiciously. When Walmart, it's an easy store to bring things back to. I mean, you give them the receipt, they give you your money back. They get you right through. And I've seen that a number of times. I've seen an awful lot of people manipulated with the electronics. So I'm sensitive to it. And when I don't know the person, it can be a little harder. But when I see things that are really, that I don't suspect, that I don't expect, like custom agents asking me if I've ever been in handcuffs. That doesn't tell anything. If I said yes, if I said no, it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean anything about my character or my past, really. And they wouldn't have wanted to know. Yesterday, no one asked me about arrests, convictions, handcuffs, anything. I went out, I came back in. They asked questions. You know, they were looking for answers. They wanted to see the right answers. And when I gave them the answers, they said, go ahead. They didn't make me get out. They didn't search my vehicle. Nothing. And that's how I would have expected it to go. You know, in times, now I haven't been in Canada in a number of years, but years ago that's how it went. There wasn't searches. Okay, I just wanted to document that. I make these videos and I send them to quite a number of email addresses, including state police, command staff, and police in my town back in Connecticut. I've included the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I've included Homeland Security, who I believe is responsible for the customs people. I want people to know that those that are following me are abusing them. They're here in Canada illegally. They cross the border illegally, and they commit a felony against state government, local government, my government, and against Canadian government. They're just abusive. And it seems like nothing is sacred. I want to call attention to them. I'd like to see them in handcuffs. Okay. With that, till we meet again, God bless you.